Okay, so I've got some cups here that I'm going to take out. Let's see if this, that still came off easily. So these are, these cups were done with B-mix clay. Am I right? Oh, sorry, no, this was the 516 clay, and they're glazed. I'm putting a layer of glaze on and kind of scraping some of it down so that I get some that stays into the carved areas. And then I'm putting on other layers of glaze. So we've got the purple glaze, we've got the bright blue. What else have we got here? I think there might be some variegated blue in there as well. And here's another one. Oh, oops, that came off. Good. Okay, now this one, also, this is the 516 clay. The base coat of this one was the black matte, and then I scraped that down so that other colors could go on top. The purple, I've got turquoise down here, and it kind of gives a feeling of an etching because the black hangs into the deep carving bits. And this one also was, the first coat was the black matte. I really like the contrast that the black matte has with the shinier glazes. It really just kind of pops the carving, gives the surface a lot of variety. There's a still on there. Okay. And then here's another one. Let's see, I think the undercoat of this one might have been the bright blue. And that's the color that's kind of under and in the crevices. And then I've got greens, purples, and some dark blue in there. This 516 clay really allows the colors to be brilliant. And last but not least here, this one I experimented with using a kind of a lighter palette in general. The first coat of glaze was the green, the apple green, and then I used folk art white and oatmeal, a little bit of the yellow glaze on top. And then that's the turquoise matte on the bottom, just for some contrast of shiny and matte.
Okay, the rest of this firing has a bunch of planters all the way down. So I've done some really bright color planters, make the garden pop. So I won't go all through these because there's, they're planters. But I like to make, bright color planters. It really kind of makes a happy garden. And of course this one is very bright with purple and yellow. That has a Bonnard feel. And there's my dark blue with the bright blue over the top. So that's kind of bright and cheerful as well. And there's another dark blue with variegated blue over the top, which doesn't show up as much. But it has a nice quality to it.
Okay, next piece is a slab built tray. This is the stoneware 516 clay, and I'm doing this in the very same way as I've been doing the tumblers, putting a first layer of glaze. In this case it was the matte black, and then scraping it down and applying a second layer of glaze. So on the top there's the bright blue, this is the turquoise glaze, the purple, and on the bottom is the green. Whoops, get that level, the green, apple green glaze. So there's kind of a nice contrast between matte glazes and shiny. And then the black is all sitting in the carved lines to give the image some emphasis and make it pop. Okay. Take this platter out. This is a larger platter. And what I did on this one is kind of a larger version of what I've been doing on the cups, the double owl, the trees and leaves behind. So there's carving, stamping with different stamps, and then the piece is bisque fired, and of course I do that double glazing where I put a first layer down, scrape it down, and add the color glazes on top. So underneath the small owl, the first glaze was the folk art white, and so that's the glaze that's hanging into the carved areas and the deep parts of the stamping. And then there's apple green on top, then a bit of oatmeal. And then on the larger owl, the first layer of glaze was the dark blue and even some black in the outer outline. So it really helps to pop the image and contrast with the different colors that are in the textures. This is the last of the platters. Also on the stoneware 516. And this one has a lot of outlining in matte black into the carved areas, and some dark blue also. This is dark blue in the carved areas here, and a lot of the greens, folk art white, and purple and blues in the other parts of the butterfly. So I was really trying to get the butterfly to stand out against the background here, and using the textures and the glazes to sit in and emphasize that.
So these are the Icelandic colors that I usually do: oatmeal, variegated blue, and mouse gray. And the same again. We have a whole bunch of planters because it's spring next week. More Icelandic plates. The last level, a little dish for a planter, and then 2 plates in the Cove series. You've seen there's a whole video of how I make those. So if you want to know how to make those, watch the video.
Right. So these pieces were on B-Mix. They're handmade mugs, hand built. And I will get it up close here. And I used B-Mix clay. They're slab built around a cylinder. And let's see, I painted and printed on the slab before forming it around the cylinder. And then in this case of this one, I drew some lines into it, and then it was bisque fired and clear glazed. This design also has the little finger, the things that make it comfortable to hold along the joining edge. This is a very small one here. Again, textured with different stamps that I've made over the years, and fired, and then underglazes are rubbed in at the bisque stage. Okay, so this one is a night scene. See if I can bring it up closer. There's a shining moon there. This one had a lot of colors rubbed in, and then, but before the clay was bisque fired, I also drew a lot of linear elements in. You can see. So when it was bisqued, I had these lines that I could rub the dark color into as well, and then clear glaze over the top. So basically, I'm coloring these in two stages. One while the clay is, while I'm forming the slab and forming the cup, and then adding to it after it's been bisqued. And these are all stamps that we make here. Doing a hand-built cup means I can really go deep in without worrying about losing the cup, going too far and smashing it in. So this one had a lot of color painted and printed on the little slab before I formed it in the cup. And then I incised these sort of leaf shapes in there before the bisque, and then it was bisque fired and glazed. And again, this was heavily stamped into, with the color just kind of lightly rubbed in on after it'd been bisque fired. And the last one of the cups here. Oops. This has a lot of the fish stamps on it, and this is just a single color rubbed in after it has been bisqued. It's just a blue, medium blue, maybe a little bit of the dark blue spectrum underglaze. Rubbing it into the deep areas. Okay, so this was a bit of an experiment. I have a kind of a strange bowl shape that always reminds me of a shell, and so I decided to use basically the same technique, so, using a slab and texturing it, and then laying it into a mold, slump mold. Here. Again, a slab built cup, stamped while the slab is still wet, and before joining it together and putting the base on. Then it's bisque fired, and underglaze is rubbed into the surfaces. One more here. I made the finger holds more exaggerated on this one. I'm kind of experimenting and joining them up in different ways to see which ones feel the best in your hand when you're holding your drink. And last but not least here, before we take out Vaughn's things, this was the larger of the shell mold. So I'll show you the bottom here. So there's underglaze rubbed in here, and then we took all the underglaze off here so it wouldn't stick to the shelf. And then this is, so basically I'm cutting out a slab kind of along the outline of the mold, doing all the texturing, and then slumping it into the mold. And then it's bisque fired, and I go back in and rub the underglazes into the surface.
So we've got some more of these in this kiln. This was a really good firing actually. The clear glaze is just crystal. And then I also I used to call these Nova Scotia Mist when I used a different glaze on them, but this is basically just the dark blue that I have in the slip. So that's basically cobalt oxide at about 3% in a base slip. And this is a stain, which I buy 6313, I think it is, which is light blue from Mason, and that gives you a nice light blue slip. This is the next layer down, and it's basically the same again, a whole series of dark blue and light blue seascape mugs, and one more crow bowl. Like I said, I don't do these firings very often, so I fill them all up with the same type of pieces, but that crow bowl turned out very nice. And the bottom shelf is the same again, so we don't need to empty everything. Some dark blue and light blue pieces and a whole bunch of mugs. So this will set me up for the summer season. I should have enough to get me through halfway anyway.
Hi, I'm about to unload a Cone 4 clear glaze group of cups. They were done with B-mix clay and decorated with underglazes on the bisque. Just point it down. And here we go. So, see what we've got here. Okay, so this is a very subtle one here. So like I said, this is on B-mix clay. So I'm texturing and forming the cup and then using stamps. This one's very subtle though. And then after the bisque fire, I'm working over them with underglazes. So this one, let's see, this one has a lot of stamping like these, and this is a stamp. I make all my own stamps. And then I'm rubbing underglazes into the textures. And I'm kind of experimenting with what the optimal amount of rubbing in does, because actually too much layering kind of makes everything go into one color. So I'm trying to learn how to keep colors separate or mix them as I go along. So this is shells, and they're the white. That's the white of the clay. There. Okay, let's see, what do we got here? Okay, this one has some bird images carved in while the clay is wet, and then bisqued, and then the color rubbed in afterwards. And these are all clear glazed. We're also glazing on the inside with oatmeal. And this one I tried to get the red light colors into the lines that I had carved in there. I really like that. It's sort of satisfies that etching urge. And this one is a combination of textures and some stamping, carving, and then rubbing in greens and blues. I'm also playing with color themes. This is a larger one. This is a variation. This is the double owl again. And carving, doing the owl's face. These are stamps. That's another stamp that I made. And rubbing the darker color into the carved and deeper areas. It's another small owl. With some of them, keeping the colors fairly simple can be more effective than overlayering, too much layering. And this owl I did, this is one, it's not black, but it's black. I think I had a little bit of red underglaze mixed with the black so that I get a warmer black. And that's just the one black rubbed into the deep areas. Oops, I just lost that. Okay, it's a fish image. And this was very specific sponging into different areas, and once again getting some colors right down into the carved areas, and then sponging on the surface part. Two more owls. These are owls and fields behind. And kind of a color change as it goes around. And okay, one more. Oh, this is a landscape. This one has a very bright colors. I left the lines mostly white that were carved in, and use those to separate the areas of colors sponged in with underglaze. That one's got very bright colors. And then last but not least, I had a little bit of clay left over, and I did a very tiny mug. This is stamping and rubbing in with mostly red and a little bit of violet. Okay.
The rest of this kiln is my regular clear glaze, which is what was on all of the inside of Jackie's pieces that she just unloaded, and she painted some underglaze on the inside, and then we just clear glaze over because this glaze is food safe anyway. So, but it's just a bunch of clear glaze pieces, which I think you have seen before. Black slip stenciled over, and then white over the top, and then you remove the paper stencil to get the whale and do a little sgraffito carving in them afterwards. So I won't show you all of them, but there's some whales, and then there's a whole bunch of the crow pieces. These are all paper stencil resist. So it's white mug, colored black, and then basically stenciled over the top, colored white, and then the stencil are removed, and then use some sgraffito carving in the black. And these ones are simply sprayed black over the white mug, and then you use sgraffito tools to carve out the black to let, whatever the shapes and images you want to reveal. And this is a commission. Somebody likes these mugs but wanted their own imagery. She wanted me to put swans on, so I did swans, which I think they turned out pretty good. We don't have swans here. I wondered about that in Nova Scotia. We got so many seabirds but no swans. I guess they're freshwater birds. And the rest are just crows and some more stencil pieces here. The next layer down is generally the same with the crows and the stencil pieces, but this is the other commission I did with the swans. So each mug is different, but I think that turned out really nice. Too bad we don't have swans here. They're really pretty birds. Like I said, we just got a whole bunch more of the crow pieces. I'm building inventory for the holiday, vacation season. So I need lots of the stencil mugs, and the carved ones sell a little bit less because they're actually double the price of one of the stencil ones. But we need lots of these pieces. The bottom layer of this kiln, let's see if I can pick one of these up, is a whole bunch of crow lamps, and I have a nice new shade I found on Amazon to put on top of these crow lamps. So I'll show you a picture of one of these when they have the shade on top. But there's 8 of these, and I'll probably have to make these again before the end of the summer because I always run out of these. I've got 8, but I probably sell at least 12 to 14 a year. I'm not sure where I'm going to put this in a video, but this little section will be added to a video at some point. I've got some interesting teapots that I played with, playing with different colors, but I also had an order for a blue teapot, so I did 3 of those, I think. See if the lid fits. Yep, lid fits. What about that for an experiment, eh? Yellow is a little difficult as a color, so I try not to overdo it with yellow, but I wanted to do one just to have fun. And it's kind of got that blue-green turquoise matte overlapping the yellow, which kind of went a sort of strange, unidentifiable color, where the yellow and the matte turquoise meets. But certainly, it's a party teapot. And let's see what else we have. I got this one because I did one of these and it sold straight away, so I thought, well, I'll make another one. Oh, and I did 2 holes for the steam to come out. Ha! It's got eyes. You can see that in there. But So matte turquoise, variegated blue, and oatmeal. It's got a really nice, interesting top there. I still experiment after all these years because, you know, that's how things happen. Unexpected things can happen. So these lids will just have, that's interesting. I've got 3 lids and 4 teapots, so there must be one on the next layer down. Maybe there's more teapots on the next layer down. You singing? It's singing. That is a nice teapot. I did some interesting fluting on that one, just making little marks. But once again, I'm going to show you the top and get it to roll over without. It's really nice the way the glaze is broken all over the top there. Stay. Let's see. It's not the lid for that one, but it is that one. And it is that one. This one I stilted because of the big flat wide base. Can I get it off? Let's see if I can knock it without. There you go. Sometimes they just knock right off. And this is the matte turquoise, the bright blue, variegated blue with oatmeal. So basically got matte turquoise overlapped with bright blue from the top, and then where they meet you get this band, and then that's what it looks like just regular bright blue, and then you've got variegated blue and oatmeal all the way down, and then of course the lid. So that's a nice teapot too. And boy, we got some really good runs in this kiln firing. There you can see the fluting again. I was doing some sort of hexagonal almost fluting. There's the top. Very nice. I think I have an order for 1 teapot. We'll see which one she picks. And then this one I don't have the lid for yet. But look at the top and look at the runs around the spout. So we'll wait to see the lid to look closely at that. Here's the other teapot. This lady ordered one of these, wanted a small teapot, so I made these a little smaller than I normally do. Bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. And because we live in Nova Scotia, every so often I have to make wool pots. So actually for yarn balls, I think. Well, that's dark blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal over the top. Same again, that one's kind of nice. Yeah, a lot of knitters in Nova Scotia. Oh, this one ran a lot. Down over the bottom. It'll still stand pretty flat, I think, but look how that one ran. I'm going to thin this glaze down because it is quite thick in the bucket. But I think it will sit flat. Yeah, pretty flat, so I won't need to grind it. But look how it ran off this bit down to there. Just skipped over the gap and fell down. Fortunately, it didn't block up that. But it's like volcanic lava, but it's not sharp on the bottom down there. I'd say that's a happy accident. Really nice colors on the inside. Now the Randy's red over the green is very traditional color combination there. Kind of a nice warm brownish red. Probably could have been applied thicker because it's not quite as red. Look at the way that one ran, but it didn't touch to the bottom, so it isn't going to affect its functional quality. This had an hour soak, so I'm going to cut it back to 45 minutes. I've been playing around with the soak. But it was at 1750, so it shouldn't have affected the glaze run at all. But and I only have an 11-minute hold at peak temperature. But this is folk art white with apple green and oatmeal. Same again on this one. You can see the variegated blue there. So I did, I think I did variegated blue on this one, but I don't know. Apple green, maybe with oatmeal does that on it anyway. But it almost looks like you got a touch of variegated blue there. And this one ran almost touching as well, so that's great. People always feel that area there to see if it's sharp because it can catch the wool. So when the glaze runs down like that, that's really good. Keeps it smooth. And there's a happy-go-lucky yellow yarn ball. Very happy ball. And I've been thinning the yellow too because I did a bit too thick. That's much better. My wife hates this yellow, but I don't mind it too much. It's a little acidic, I think, possibly as a color. A little cold. It's a bit of a cold yellow.